confidence comes from. So
Right.
take the time to learn, right? Most people should take the time to learn in the beginning, and then have the experience, and then put the two together to gain that confidence that they need to know that they're comfortable in their sexuality and with their own body.
Mm-hmm.
True. How many times have you went out and you seen a very attractive woman with the ugliest duckling in the world? You be like, what the heck? Look at her. His confidence. He is confident within himself.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. He's a short dude. He's fat, but he's confident in who he is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, the weekend has a line in one of his songs. He said, "Bad bitch, girl, I think I might get used to you. I might have to take your number when I'm through with you. All I'm asking you is to try to remember me. No, excuse me, make me remember you like you're gonna remember me."
Mm-hmm.
That's a hot line
Yeah.
because your job is to make her remember you because you're confident in who you are. And we have to, again, no matter if you're a salesperson or not, we're all salespeople by nature.
Right.
People buy into what they like.
Mm-hmm.
And you should listen more than you talk. In order to sell somebody, you have to listen to what they want first. You can't sell me anything unless you hear me first and what I need. We try
Mm-hmm.
to sell each other what we want to sell, but you don't really want that shit.
Right.
So it's about the conversation, my
And
opinion.
that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest part. People, when me and Franklin first started this, we talked about communication and conversation. That's what it's all about. That's creating the atmosphere to help understand one another, right? To help
Mm-hmm.
understand the person that you're with. We're not having those conversations in society about a lot of important topics, not just sexuality, not just relationships, but even mental illness, right? All that plays into a part of, companionship and all that kind of stuff. So we have to start talking more. People have to start expressing their feelings a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's difficult. I know that we have to be strong all the time, 100% of the time. You can't be weak. I get it, right? But at the end of the
I'm
day,
starting to get out of that element. It's been hard work, but healing comes into play with that.
well, and that's what I was going to get to, right? The healing part of it, because I feel like someone can basically go through so much. Someone
Mm-hmm.
can have so many issues and so many problems that they create this shell, they create this wall, and at the end of the day, they're not able to let go because they haven't figured it out. They haven't healed. But when they take the time to find themselves, take the time to actually learn that the world is not out to actually hurt them,
Mm-hmm.
they can basically once again, open that door to maybe being able to, talk about their emotions or let
Mm-hmm.
some things out that they need to.
Right.
And
Right.
it's like I said, I get it. We've all been through things. We've all had our issues. We've all had our problems. Um, But the bottom line is this too, and I think the general theme of like I said, don't be a slave for companionship. Don't be a slave for mental illness. Don't be a slave for sex. Don't be a slave for money. Right? There's so many things that people have become a slave over and they
Mm-hmm.
don't realize it.
For
Obviously
sure.
there's so many different opportunities that we can talk about, but the main focus is just not becoming a slave for anything that's not going to actually be beneficial for you or help you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be greater than the thing that's making you a slave.
Right. And that comes with what you said, experience. So now that a lot of us are grown, like we done lived a lot of life, it's time to stop being repetitive. It's time
Hmm.
to learn from those experiences and grow because if not, we all know the definition of insanity. So the moment you just keep being in that cycle, you're never getting out. You're never going to learn those lessons. And you keep sitting there wondering why your life isn't changing and why this and that and the third is happening. You're not doing the self work that's needed to
Hmm.
change. So you will be a slave to your circumstances as
True.
long as it takes for you to learn.
True story.
Shout out to Timo. Said glad you said that about money. People out here working 60 hours a week thinking it's a flex. It's not a flex. Working 60 hours a week is not a flex. Um, I'm dropping a video tomorrow. It's going to be how to or why multiple streams of income is very important.
Mm.
You don't have to work 60 hours a week to live comfortably. A lot of people are doing it just to survive, and it's sad, right? We need to help people understand how to make money within a shorter amount of time so that they can live life. You shouldn't make money just to pay bills and not live,
Ain't that the truth?
For
right?
sure.
So we need to talk about that. We need to address those things. Like I said, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, it's definitely an issue, right? And we're seeing it. There's a study which I'm going to talk about tomorrow, but there's a study right now uh, said that the majority of Americans who make over $100,000 a year, six figure people are living paycheck to paycheck, right? Ivana does well for herself. Franklin does well for himself. I do well for myself. We're all business owners here. Six figure people. With
Mm.
that said, living paycheck to paycheck means one of two things. Either you're not living within your means, which that's the easy thing to say,
Mhm.
or you haven't really figured out what to do with your money because you haven't put it in the right places. You haven't done the right investments. You have no passive income. So if your bills are taking up your $100,000 and you're just working for that money, you needed to find a second income years ago, third income years ago.
I will agree. A lot of us don't have a good relationship with money. And again, that's probably because one, we haven't taken that time to do our research, or a lot of times we have people that's also, aside from bills, you also got people that's relying on you. So actually a lot of them six-figure people, a lot of people that's, I don't want to say beneath, but obviously people that is not doing the same that you're doing, all they're gonna do is keep begging because they know you got it.
Mhm.
So, and you want to help so bad, so now you just handing out, and you're stretching yourself thin, because instead of handing out that bread, you need to start teaching them, hey, this is what I did to get to this. Either present me with an opportunity to make this money, or I gotta stop.
You're right. There's so many. Like I said, tomorrow we'll be on top of that topic. There's so many different
Dope.
ways that we can address it. We can talk about it. Um, but to keep going down this rabbit hole of the slave mentality when it comes to relationships, frankly, do you feel that if you're engaged in a companionship or a relationship, that it's easy to become trapped? And not just, I'm not saying you specifically, but just for the general sense of things, do you think it's
Mhm.
easy to become trapped in the daily grind and the daily thought process of pleasing your partner, especially nowadays?
Yes. You have to, in my opinion, I'm always going to state that, in my opinion, this is just my opinions based off of my experience. You have to keep things exciting. Um, there's one thing, you want to, you don't always want to be predictable. You want to be, there has to be some mystery there every once in a while. And there also has to be some spice in the life. I mean, whether it's sexual, whether it's going out of your way, and learn from your past relationships. A lot of times we won't look at our past. We want to say, oh, I want the next person to be like X, Y, and Z. But what did you do wrong in your past relationship? What did you not do right? What did the person complain about? And try to make sure that the new relationship you're going to be in, that you don't make those same mistakes, because we are, a lot of times, we follow our same patterns. We all have patterns. Whether somebody realizes it or not, we all have a
Creature of
pattern.
habit. Mm-hmm.
Correct. And you have to learn your pattern and learn how to break your pattern. If it's a bad pattern, if it's a bad habit, break it. Because if multiple people tell you the same thing about yourself, that they don't know each other, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
If it walk like a duck and if it talk like a duck, it's a fucking duck. Period. At the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to realize we are sometimes, and again, in relationships, the biggest thing is being accountable for your actions.
Mm-hmm.
I got a saying: stop pointing your fingers and start putting your thumbs back. It's you. Look in the mirror and say, what can I do better? Because we always want to point the finger at somebody else. Oh, they didn't do this. They didn't do that for us. They didn't please me this way. They didn't please me that. Well, guess what? What did you do?
Like, how did you help this situation? A lot of times we don't.